I want to share something that comes from my heart and my love for my dog, whom is like my child. Many of you who have been able to suffer through the 1 hour video that I have with the full story of everything that happened, you know my story. Please share it. Share pictures of my car when you see it. This is Shadow's story, and it's only a portion of his story. I am going to post ads all around the internet with his picture, and with this, I am terrible at grammar because of my autism. So please forgive any bad grammar if you're trying to read this yourself. Dear Hendersonville, North Carolina Police / Sheriff's Department, this is Shadow. This picture was found on Death Row German Shepherds on Facebook. I don't know if he's alive or dead, but I need him to come home. I need all my boys to come home. Shadow was abused before he came to me. He had barbed wire scars on his legs like he had been hogtied with barbed wire. Scars from knife wounds, a chipped canine tooth, and a slight limp. Shadow, like any other dog, was not and is not a piece of garbage you can just throw away. But that's exactly how you treated him when you allowed one of your officers to trick his autistic owner into a false confession by bribing her with going home to him if she changed her story while she was too traumatized to think straight. Taking a mentally damaged dog away from the only human it can trust is pure evil. For this you are dog killers, as your actions could have led to his death. You deliberately terrorized an innocent animal who was already very fragile, and that's the definition of animal abuse. That dog, just like any dog, didn't ask for much, just to be loved instead of beaten, and cared for instead of neglected, to receive hugs instead of living in fear. Your entire department disgusts me. You disrespect the love and bond between a dog and its owner because of your profound hatred for the homeless. You knew Shadow's story, and you knew screwing over his owner would sentence him to death. Not only did you take advantage of a mentally challenged person for fun, but as a direct result, tormented and tortured an animal by taking him from the only human he can trust, who never beat him, never let him go without, and who loved him enough to want to die for him. I would take a bullet for him if given the chance. You placed him in an environment where he was scared to death of everything around him, where he would senselessly be murdered. Shadow was given a second chance at a good life and a loving home, a situation he probably mentally begged for while he was being kicked, stabbed, beaten, and God only knows what else by his previous owner. And you happily took it all away from him in the name of your malicious hatred for the homeless. Please remove, "In God We Trust," from your vehicles. It is sheer and blatant blasphemy. Your department has repeatedly proven and continues to do so that none of your officers in the police department nor the sheriff's department believes in to protect and serve. Your department has blatant disregard for all constitutional rights, which is un-American, unpatriotic, and the way your officers treat people who are already down and out is an affront to God himself. Your hatred and abuse of power has had a domino effect on many lives and families. It's obvious you don't care because the rift between The police in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and the homeless continues to grow, and does so because of the actions from your department. There is no one else to blame for this rift. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to state a fact. I lived in Charlotte, moved back in with my parents. My dad was abusive, and I had lost my apartment because I had helped someone who was homeless, and lost it when he had to leave. And he thought it was okay to hit my dog that was actually killed in Gastonia before I got Shadow. And I said some things that I made sure that he left. I wasn't gonna put up with it. And I remember driving home from work at the hub in the FedEx hub in Charlotte. It was probably about 3 a.m. It was just before daylight. This was in 2020. And there was a homeless man under the bridge that I was driving under. And I saw Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. And they were stopped. But unlike the Hendersonville Police, he wasn't stopped so that he could harass the man or take a knife to his only shelter, like the Hendersonville cops taking knives to the tents of the homeless people around town. He stopped, and he had gotten a blanket out of his car. And he stopped to make sure that the homeless man was okay, that he wasn't freezing, and offered to take him to a homeless shelter. That was the kind of police department that I thought I was coming up to when I lost my apartment because of an unpaid COVID leave. I had a dual situation going on with that. I also lost my apartment because I had helped 2 homeless people, second roof over my head that I've lost to helping people. And I got a noise complaint because they could not respect the neighbors who lived below me, no matter how much I asked them to. That's a long story to get into. But I didn't think that when I got in my car and left that apartment complex after someone murdered my dog and sabotaged my power steering pulley to try and kill me, an apartment that I was happy to lose to unpaid COVID leave, I couldn't go home. There was no home for me. My family is divided because our father was abusive. He still is. There was no home for me to go to. Just my car and somewhere safe and shady for the boys to be. And after losing my second shepherd to rat poisoning at that complex, I didn't want to be there. I didn't want Shadow to die, so I put them in the car, Shadow and his 2 brothers, and I came up here with a steering rack that was 2 clicks away from going, and a messed up alternator that had cost me $400 that my roommate deliberately made it to where it wasn't charging my battery. This car is not named War Machine for no reason. I made it to Hendersonville 100 miles with a bad drive shaft and 3 car batteries. This car made it 100 miles, backed into a parking place in Walmart overflow, and died there by some miracle. I was that determined to bring my boys somewhere safe. Somewhere I thought was safe for us. And I didn't know that it was the farthest from safe that it could possibly be. I raised my second shepherd in this town for 5 years. I had good memories here, and I don't have that many good memories because of what my dad has put me through my whole life. There aren't many things with 4 walls that I have good memories with. This car is the last one. Don't ask me how I kept my dogs cool, but I have witnesses that say they never overheated, that they never went hungry, they never went without water or exercise, that evil homeless lady with the dogs, how dare she have dogs? How dare she love them more than life itself? Let's take them away. That's how I feel the Henderson County Police Department thought of me. So I'm going to read the rest of this. I only met one good officer in Hendersonville, North Carolina, who deserves to wear the badge. If there are others, I know not of them, and that's how many in a community feel as well. Even those who aren't homeless. If there are still any good officers out there who can do their job and still follow the path of protect and serve, I call on you to make yourselves known, because frankly, there's not enough of you in this town. Will your department continue to abuse power and threaten those who call you out for it? Or will your department try to make a change for the better? Because here's the reality. You've lost the trust of most of Henderson County citizens, and this has been an ongoing problem for over 10 years. Those who see how your officers act behind the scenes when they think no one is looking are sick of your department's recklessness. I used to be an avid Blue Lives Matter supporter. I used to believe cops were good and that there were only a few bad apples. But last year, when I needed you to keep me safe and you let me down, I stopped believing in all of that. Why support Blue Lives Matter when my own life is as worthless to you as that bag of garbage you toss in the trash can every night after dinner? And you know why I feel that way? Because when my best friend saved my life, the police treated us like, how dare he? How dare she have a friend who thought she was worth saving? Let's ruin her life too. She doesn't have enough problems on her shoulders. Let's make things worse. She has a job that pays over $1,000 a month, but we hate her because she lives in her car. We don't like her car because it's beat up. And we don't like that she has dogs because she doesn't deserve them. That's how I feel the police thought of me. Still do. I'm going to read the rest now. Now I don't feel safe when I see someone from your department. I've never been drunk, never done drugs, and have worked blood, sweat, and tears for everything that I have. Just for your department to tear it all down in the blink of an eye. I used to believe if I followed the law, I would avoid being wrongfully jailed, as I've heard of a broken justice system from the age of 5 and on from a brother who was a well-known criminal justice lawyer. My whole life, I've never had faith in the justice system. And I was right to feel that way. This one, if I don't get my boys back and get a lawyer for this, is going to be the end of my life. This is the one that's too much. This is the one that's going to push me over the edge. I believe in reincarnation. If this life gets too much because of what was done to me, I'm happy to go to my next life. I'm going to read the rest. I'm also adding my thoughts on the matter as I read. Your department has many believing that you don't need to commit an actual crime to go to jail in this county. Do you know the phrase locals use who grew up here? The phrase they have for this county. It goes like this. Henderson County, come on vacation, leave on probation. I can't count how many times I've heard that from someone. I even made up my own version. Henderson County, come on vacation, leave a felon. I know a lot of people that Henderson County has done dirty, and it's not okay to ruin people's lives just because you can. I'm going to read again. What I text about has been on the minds of many Henderson County citizens for decades. There just aren't many willing to say it out loud for fear of retaliation from your department. Your department fails to uphold law and order, and chooses only to do so when it's convenient for you. We, the public, see you. We, the public, watch you. We, the public, pray for a change for the better. May God save us and this country from departments like yours, because it's departments like yours that are creating a rift between American citizens and the police. You do what you want, not what's right, and most of the time, not even what the law requires of you. Not in Hendersonville, North Carolina, guys. You break the law and make it up as you go along. And you have no idea how many people have been saying that. Because it's not just me. In fact, I've heard it from multiple people before using the phrase myself. May God help this country. We, the citizens, pray for peace and prosperity and the return of the American dream. Even though many of us do so while in fear of what the future of this country might be, while in worry of what our children's future will be like if this country continues to go downhill. We will pray for our enemies, and even when we don't believe they deserve it, we will bless our enemies. When the time comes, you, like the rest of us, will answer to God for your sins and wrongdoings. America prays for a change. United we stand, divided we fall. Will you be a part of the problem or a part of the solution? That's the real question for the police in Hendersonville and for authorities everywhere. If nobody calls people in a position of authority out when they do horrible, rotten things to people for fun, then there's never going to be true justice for anyone. If you quiver and cower with your tail between your legs at the threat of authority higher than you, while they continue to ruin the lives of those around you, when do you think you will be next? Things need to change. And nobody can change what happens in an entire country when we're just an ordinary citizen. But we can change things where we live by standing up, taking a stand against police corruption of power. The government has gotten this way because of people with idle thumbs. Because nobody stood up and said, this is wrong and you can't do this to us. I'm going to take that stand because I don't have anything left to lose by doing so. I've gotten death threats for standing up, and I really don't care. I don't think they know what to make of that. I think they've come to realize that they've finally done the wrong person dirty. The one person who will refuse to be quiet. I have been warned by someone who grew up here that I have to have a PO because of the plea deal I took, because I was scared they would paralyze me if they injured my spine a second time in jail, and I knew they would get away with it. My life is horrible enough. I didn't want to live paralyzed. I don't want to. Well, she keeps telling me that you don't have to pay this and you don't have to pay that in restitution. I should be the one getting paid restitution. I'm the one who was the victim. Not only of the guy who tried to kill me, but of a corrupt police force. Well, he said that they will lie about the amount of money you owe so that they can violate you at the end of parole or probation, so that they can just throw you in jail and make you deal with it all over again. So, after August 31st, if my viewers do not hear from me, then Henderson County has done me dirty a second time. If that happens, what would you do? Would you be afraid to stand up and bring attention to this, knowing I'm not the only one dealing with it? Or would you cower and let them continue doing things like this to other people until one day it happens to you?